to AI Chronicles. Today, I've got Maher with me, who is the VP of Engineering at Betterworks and someone who has been leading the charge in engineering and AI-driven innovation. We are going to dive into the realities of building with generative AI, which is the talk of the town anyway. And we'll talk about from how it is to from transitioning teams to productionizing models and designing great user experiences. Welcome, Maher. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode.
Yeah, hi
How are you
Sonal. Thank you
doing?
so much for having me. Yeah, I'm doing great. Thank you. And appreciate the time and the opportunity to talk on your podcast.
Absolutely, it's my pleasure. Without further ado, why don't we just kickstart and start talking about this interesting topic? You ready?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, let's go.
Okay, so first things first, I'm curious, what are some of the key lessons that you have learned from transitioning the engineering efforts from traditional methods to those that are focused more on the usage of generative AI?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. So just as a statement out there, I myself was not like an AI expert for many years. I don't have a PhD in AI, but in the most recent years, I started like managing AI teams, data scientists, machine learning teams, obviously, predictive AI and stuff like that. And then obviously when generative AI came out with the first ChatGPT 3 release, I think it shook the world a little bit. So since I was deeply involved in learning and adapting as an engineering leader to these new things and seeing how can I help my team deliver on these things and be competitive in the space. So I think some of the key differences or like lessons learned from these experiences is I think we say a lot, how, we talk a lot about how data is important in this space of AI, data science. But I think for generative AI, it became even more critical. And data is used all over the place in the pipeline of my generative AI, from the training data that is really used to train the initial models to any data used for RAG or fine tuning. To the data that you use for context learning and also in the prompts. So it's very important that I think if the data has way more value and it's becoming really definitely your main asset in these technologies. I think generative AI as models and techniques and architecture will become table stakes. And I think what will make a big difference will be the data. So I think the lesson that was learned more is about how the quality of the data is important, the structure of the data is important for these generative AI projects and applications, especially for teams that were not deeply involved in AI projects before. And I think that's where we see a little bit better applications of AI when you have the right quality of data and you have the right pipelines in place versus ones where you're just, using AI as a hype and as a pure integration. Another thing is also some of the infrastructure and scalability things to consider. I think generative AI, with obviously everything that is happening, it's becoming easier to deploy AI. And I honestly call generative AI as a service. So, we used to think about a lot of things in the past, how we do evaluation, how we do testing, the different kind of data we need to have in place and pipelines. But now with all the tools out there and all the cloud solutions out there, it become really easy to do
Hmm.
AI in general, including self-hosted AI, by the way, which is a topic I'm happy to go deeper into this. And then last thing is more the iterative approach of development and experimentation with AI. I think it's way faster with generative AI. Obviously, with the traditional machine learning and a predictive AI, usually takes cycles, and it's really difficult to predict. With generative AI, it's easy to iterate, get things fast, fail fast, learn faster. Honestly, with the pace with things are moving, you need to keep up with things. But at least there's an opportunity for things to be shifted and change directions very quickly compared to initially, building your own models and train and evaluate. That's more risk as a project. So these are the lessons learned now. Obviously, there are more to generative AI compared to AI, but this is at least the three that comes to mind.
Yeah, no, you said it really well, and I really like the way you termed the generative AI as a service, and I can see it resonates with common people, I think, and all the developers, even with lack of AI expertise or anything. Now, given that we're talking about this transition from traditional to the modern era of generative AI, for lack of a better term, so how do you think generative AI projects affect collaboration between different teams, such as data science, engineering, product? Do you see like any unique challenges or maybe opportunities in this cross-functional work?
Yeah, absolutely both. I mean, challenges and opportunities. So, some of the challenges working with AI in the space of collaboration is, um, you need to make sure you're getting different perspectives to the use of generative AI and how would you address it. So, with that being said, making sure this collaboration is successful and there's an alignment across different teams, which is really necessary because generative AI with its nature being, indeterministic and all the bias that is in the data, you need to have input from different entities, not just engineering and product. You need to have more
Right.
people involved. So building that alignment and shared understanding is a challenge. Setting the right expectation what AI can do and what it cannot is also a challenge. Creating an environment where collaboration is kind of organic and natural versus, kind of difficult to handle. So all these kind of ways, creating a new environment for a clear communication, aligning on what do we expect from the AI to do. And at the end of the day, I think the main challenge is how can we focus our efforts all together to have the biggest impact and focus on impact versus focus on the hype of having something powered by AI. So balancing innovation at some point and leveraging AI, but also stay focused on delivering value and
Mm.
impact while also you should not shut down all the other projects you have and any kind of technical depth you have to work on or any new features that are not necessarily AI features. Balance all these things have been a challenge. And then I would say across different teams, I think with the pace again this innovation is moving with, I think one of the challenges is the fluency in AI and generative AI. Like things are happening on a daily basis, especially most recently. So it's very important for different stakeholders, not necessarily just engineering or product, to know what's happening. What are these things?
Mm.
Why they work this way? Is it time for us to consider this new technology out there, or we stay with what we have? And I think that could be overwhelming. And definitely, we can see a lot of that. So I'm happy to go deeper into some of these over time. In terms of
Yeah.
opportunity, I think again, like we're building great features, not greater necessarily, but great features with AI, with
Mm.
ease, with less effort, I would say. So really being able to achieve more with less using generative AI, which is again I call it AI as a service, is a great thing. Um, Collaboration in general to achieve this creates a better environment, more productive and efficient kind of environment at some points. uh, it's just again it's also a cool technology and cool enhanced features that we can build using AI. So there's like a boost in productivity in quality of our features that is really good to have once you have the right kind of stakeholder in the organization that are really setting the right environment and the right guidelines to achieve success.
Fair, fair. So generative AI as a service, we understand, but do you think like in the different teams, especially like the engineering teams and data science team, do you think there is this fear that the jobs are being replaced? I know it's a very controversial topic all over the world, so I'm curious, like, do you see that happening within the teams in a company?
Well, I think the fear might come from other people other than engineers feeling that way. I don't think
Hmm.
any good engineer really see like immediate threat coming from AI. AI today is an enhanced way to work. Is a boost of productivity and performance. You can get a lot of
Agree.
things done. It's becoming a crucial core competence for software engineers and engineering leaders. Like it
Hmm.
it just helps you go faster and do more and learn. There's one thing we should not forget. Like AI is not here to just throw at us some code and some tests and we put them. Like the goal from using AI is to learn faster. It's like having a very senior engineer next to you telling you
Hmm.
things that you might learn from. With all things into consideration, again, some of these things might not be very accurate, and we take hallucinations as part of the features of AI at this stage, and that can
Hmm.
happen from a human being as well. So I don't
Right.
think the threats or the risks are coming from necessarily engineering feeling, oh, generative AI is becoming really good at doing this. My job is at risk. It's more coming from decision makers who might think that we don't need AI, we don't need software engineers, and we need AI, and thus go ahead and replace them. Any software engineer who have been in the space for a long enough to understand that it cannot replace the human effect. And again, there are a few things that it can do really well, it can be very efficient at, but it cannot be, a pure replacement. It's more like a co-pilot, an assist versus a replacement.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. We can coexist. That's what I keep telling people. We can coexist
Exactly.
with AI in the same world.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's really good. So pivoting a little bit, and talking about the user experiences. How do you approach designing user experiences when you're building the Gen AI applications? Like, are there some key considerations that could differ from what you had in traditional software development to this modern generative AI development in this world, in this industry?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, building generative AI features or an applications is quite different from building the features we have been seeing for decades so far in software. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that was at the beginning when generative AI started. Mainly, there was a huge focus on chatbots and the conversational aspect of generative AI because it was impressive, right? Like at the beginning, we couldn't believe that was happening, and it did.
Mm-hmm.
So I think at some point, the design were mainly focused on building chatbots and interacting with AI as if it was a human being on the other side chatting with us. But then I think over
Mm-hmm.
time it changed more into enhanced features, really capabilities, saving you time and focus, and really get you straight to the point, doing a lot of things for you so you can focus on where your value as a user, where you get the best out of your value and your impact as a user. So I think when it comes to that now, with all the things changed and with all the experience we built up over the 2 years ish from the time we had first experience generative AI, like the big influential generative AI with ChatGPT, I think designing an
Mm-hmm.
application turned more into trying to understand as best as we can the user, the personas again, and it was highlighted even more because where you are going to integrate generative AI, it has to be really a game changer for them. It should not be just
Right.
bells and whistles everywhere that will just
Mm-hmm.
here generative AI, honestly, I don't want to name this, but Apple, intelligence, when we first started, it was like, oh, it's AI that summarizes your SMS and text and notifications. But at the end, it was not necessarily very helpful, and it was sometimes even confusing. I honestly turned it off because it was showing me summaries, of 3 emails come from different people, showing me avatars, and I was like confused. What are these talking to each other?
Mm-hmm.
So really understanding the user, what they need, and build a user-centric design around this is very important. The second thing, which is very and even more important for generative AI, is not just understanding the user, but also guiding them and setting the right expectation around what AI does and how does it work, and really provide some more
Mm-hmm.
context. So at Betterworks, as an example, everything we do when it comes to AI, there is a big, clear aspect of it showing, what do you expect from this feature, and then when you use it, there is a part that called transparency and explanation that will explain to you exactly what AI did and why it came up with that outcome.
Mm-hmm.
So as I can give an example here, when we have a generative AI feature to summarize feedback for customers, for the end users, we really explain to them why we use this and where this data is coming from and what influenced this summary. Or when we want to
Mm-hmm.
help you rephrase a feedback you want to give to someone, we really tell you exactly why we changed the language, what kind of bias we found out that it could be, necessarily there, and what kind of improvements we did and why. So again, guiding the user, setting expectation, what is the influence of AI, what is not AI is very key. And I think that's a big
Mm-hmm.
change compared to how we do things in the past. And then to get there, to get to that level of good design overall, you need to make sure you build up trust and safety around your features of AI. We know with AI, there is
Yeah.
a lot of bias and hallucination. So again, I name transparency and explainability as features, but also, ensuring that they understand their privacy aspects of the data and interactions, any ethical considerations, how we deal with bias and how we deal with hallucinations, and then
Mm-hmm.
include some mechanism for feedback. I hope, and I see this a lot, but I think everywhere I see generative AI feature, there is always like a way to give feedback and say, this was good, this was not good, because, we are still,
Mm-hmm.
again, we're still in a young age of exploring generative AI design.
Yeah, yeah. And I actually you answered my next question. I was going to ask, like, how do you ensure that you're not confusing users or making sure that you're not overwhelming them? So, yeah, that was my next question. But thank you for
Yeah,
covering that.
well, definitely for that specific one, I think we need to be clear about the human control and that the
Yeah.
human is still in the center of the loop, in the driver's seat, in other language. So anything
Yes.
we do with
Yes.
generative AI is a way to empower the end user to,
Agreed.
kind of leverage the technology, but we're not taken over from an automation perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So balancing these two aspects and nuances between automation and human control are key,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what we hope will not overwhelm the end user.
Fair point, fair point. Totally agree with you. I just had a conversation about this whole human in the loop with my colleague this morning, and we were talking about some business intelligence use case, and there's a lot of autonomy, especially with AI agents that people are building. And just my question was like, okay, yes, you bring in all the autonomy, but then is the human in loop still necessary? And the answer was a straight yes, is that yes, the human in the loop is required for decision making, strategy thinking, maybe, and so on and so forth. So I think this adds up to my discussion as well. But last but not the least, I would love to get any advice that you have to the engineering teams or even early stage startups for best practices.
Um, Well, a few things. Definitely, I think I said this earlier. Like,
Mm-hmm.
kind of continuous agile learning is key. This space has been moving quite fast, honestly, very impressive how fast things are moving. So it's very important for uh, engineers, engineering leaders, any stakeholder in a business, honestly, important stakeholder in business to really learn as much as they can do or how much is
Mm-hmm.
relevant to their jobs when it comes to AI. And
Yeah.
the learning should have some sort of like agility because things are moving really fast. So you don't want to go too deep because whatever you're going deep into might become irrelevant in a matter of months, honestly. So you need to go
Yeah.
horizontal as much as possible, understand a little bit the space, the risks, the
Mm-hmm.
expectations, the cost, and really bring it to your organization in a good way. And then as you do that, I think there should be a way of like leveraging frameworks that are the pre-existing frameworks to achieve success when it
Yeah.
comes to productization of generative AI. Building proof of concept, we all have seen that. It's quite interesting, fun, and cool and exciting, but getting that into production takes many steps. And there are different frameworks for like the people side of things, and then and people and process and technology, like the PPT framework. At
Mm-hmm.
Betterworks, as an example, we really leverage a flywheel framework from a people perspective in process, where we had four
Mm-hmm.
steps: plan, build, run, and optimize. Planning is mainly,
Fair
what are
point.
we doing? What are the features and we need to build? What is the thing that will have the highest impact, but also maybe the lowest investment and cost? And then once we
Mm-hmm.
decide that, we need to move to the build. The build that early on was like what technologies, which models, what infrastructure, off the shelf solutions, self hosted solutions, and all of that. Once you agree on all of that, you run the smallest scope you can. So go small, focus on iterative approach, and go fast and fail fast, honestly, and then improve based on feedback. So that's why the fourth step is optimization. And then when it comes to the technology, what really worked for us is something like an AI maturity framework where you can start building things that are easy, simple, fast to experiment with. Again, moving from proof of concept to very high level, high end product in
Mm-hmm.
enterprise grade. So really leverage the easiest technology out there. You can really have generative AI features using API kind of off-the-shelf solution from generative AI, like OpenAI, right? You can really integrate their
Mm-hmm.
API, build some AI features that are basic, input and output, and there you're good. But then the more you get into the sophistication of the solution, the more you will have challenges, from a technical perspective, from infrastructure, from cost. So you need to go higher in that kind of framework as you do more things like RAG and in-context
Mm-hmm.
learning and fine-tuning and all of that, even getting into agents at some point. But as you do that, you need to keep an eye on how much you need to worry about privacy, security, and in other words, responsible AI. So that
Mm-hmm.
framework was very helpful for us from a technology perspective. So we were moving along these two lines, these two axes, making sure that we build the right product at the right time, leveraging again
Mm-hmm.
impact versus cost, and also staying in the guardrails and safeguards of our system, which is an HR tech space, a lot of things, a lot of sensitive data and a lot of compliance aspect that we need to respect. So the summary of everything I said is really follow some proven uh, frameworks out there that will de-risk you from
Yeah.
derailing or over-investing
Mm-hmm.
into solutions that might become either irrelevant very shortly or just extremely costly for what you need, or worst case scenario, like not impactful at all from a feature perspective. They're just AI for the
Yeah.
sake of hype about AI, and it doesn't bring you any value. And the biggest
Yeah.
challenge when it comes to adopting AI is ROI. Like even today, I think it's very hard to measure the return on investment when it comes to adding generative AI. Very few companies can have strong metrics to show value, but
Mm-hmm.
you need to take that into consideration too, especially at like small, medium-sized businesses. You don't want to go and overinvest into something that will not bring you a lot of value.
A lot of value, ROI. Those are the right terms. Hit the right spot. Thank you so much. This has been an awesome conversation, Maher. We covered so much, and it's clear that building with AI isn't just about the tech, it's about the people, the process, designing experiences that actually work for the customers and users. So thanks again for sharing your insights. And to everyone listening, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe and share. Catch you next time on AI Chronicles. Thank you for your time, Maher.
Thank you so much, Sanam. Talk to you soon.